Well, Saturday, the 25th of July, 2020, was a very interesting day. One turned 60. And how did one spend one's 60th birthday? In lockdown. In virtual lockdown anyway. I was not able to get down to Sydney to see my lovely family and grandkids. And we had planned to have a lunch at the Georges River Sailing Club. But alas, it was not to be due to a number of spikes in Sydney and Victoria with the COVID-19 virus. So we had to play it safe, so we've postponed it. So I'll be having my 60th birthday a little bit later in the year, possibly to coincide with my son Daniel's birthday. That's around the 24th of August. But very disappointed because it was also little Hunter's birthday and little Carlo's birthday. So that was a bit devastating for me when we had to call it off at the last minute. But it's better to be alive and live to enjoy again, rather than to take a risk and probably have one's life ended prematurely. So I spent the day going down to see my old mate Captain Jack at Aberdeen at what I call the Emporium. Oh no, that was the day before, sorry. Had a look at some plants there, and also got a wall heater for the bathroom from Captain Jack. Also went down to Musselbrook. Did that being a Saturday, the Adventist Church in Musselbrook was having a service, but I got the times wrong, didn't I? Because of this coronavirus, the starting times have moved to 1:30 in Scone. And Letitia was the priest from Singleton coming up to do Musselbrook, so I thought I'd support her service because I'm friends with her and also Stanley in Scone, even though I'm an Anglican now. I was Roman Catholic, but I renounced that a couple of weeks ago for reasons I don't need to go into now. But, it doesn't take Einstein to figure them out. Just fed up with them, quite frankly. And at least the Anglicans, they allow priests to get married, and I think that's a giant step in the right direction. The Pope should make the same announcement to allow it in the Catholic Church to end this pedophilia nonsense. All this sexual tension is just ridiculous. Anyway, I didn't want to rant, but so I spent the day at home, didn't I? I was watching the races and had a very good day at the races in my lounge room, watching the Rose Hill races, and unfortunately the first race there was a near tragedy in terms of loss of human life when jockey by the name of Atkins came crashing down on a very good horse called Hot and Hasty, who'd won by 14 lengths at its first and only start before that, and it was a hot favourite. And I didn't see the race, and I haven't seen it yet either, but apparently it was an horrific fall. So I spent the day on a bit of social media, putting my tips online and having a not so much humble pie this week in terms of losing tips, but I did quite well actually, because anybody following Lord Reags' tips at Rose Hill on Saturday, my birthday, would have won about $700 using the formula that I suggest, the very frugal, austere equine investment formula that I've almost patented, called Fantasy Flutters. And other things I did, I attended to my garden. Also did a little bit of shopping just for a few odds and sods that I needed. I got some dips. I felt like I didn't want pizza. I usually on a Saturday night, I'll have a pizza night watching a movie or something. I don't go to the clubs anymore. Even without a pandemic, I wouldn't go to clubs anymore unless there's a good band playing. And even then, I wouldn't have anyone to dance with because I live in a remote town, 4 hours northwest of Sydney. But if I want to go dancing, I'd have to travel all the way down to Newcastle or Tamworth, up north, which is an hour and a half from me, which is, I mean, if I was still living in Sydney, I'd be travelling an hour and a half wherever you go. So it's not a biggie, but it'd be about 2 hours comfortably to Newcastle. In which case, if I wanted to have a night of dancing down there, I'd go to the West Club at New Lambton and maybe stay overnight at one of their motel rooms. The West Club have got motel rooms there now, but they're a bit costly, so I'd probably go to the one of my favourite economical Maitland haunts, and that is the ever-loving Windsor Castle. But alas, it's been hit by the coronavirus. Somebody came up from Sydney and didn't know they had the virus, and they spread it through the to some of the people and some of the patrons anyway at the old Windsor Castle in Maitland, and I believe they went up to Port Stephens after that. And so anyway, just getting back to what I got up to on my birthday, I watched the football match. I saw the Canberra football match, which Canberra won well. And I also saw the Roosters match. And my little $5 multis came a cropper because I took the Roosters to win by, they had to win by 13 plus. And I think they, was it 13 plus or 19 plus I took? I think 19 plus because they were up against a crappy team. But that was the Warriors, I think. Anyway, the Warriors held them to a 10-point lead, so that was the end of that ticket. I did watch a good movie. I've got to try to think what it was. See, my memory isn't as good as what it used to be. I just need to have a little sip of my coffee. I know what I did. I recorded a lot of songs, that's right. So I passed the time rather than feeling sorry and sad for myself. What I always do when I feel a bit depressed is God helps those who help themselves. So you got to lift your own spirits sometimes. So I visited a Monty Python site and got into a few chats with an interesting chat room and talking about Monty Python recitals and stuff, and that was fun. And then I started recording some songs. And because I was a bit sad, I looked at a few sad songs that I hadn't recorded as yet. One was Goodbye by Paul McCartney and Mary Hopkins, so I did that one. And then Once Upon a Time There Was a Tavern, those were the days, I did that one. What was the other one I did? I enjoyed that one, by Charles Aznavour. And in more recent times, not Ben Elton, what's his name? He's the guy who did it for Notting Hill. Elvis Costello, beg your pardon. How did I get Ben Elton out of Elvis Costello? See, you can see how my mind's ticking over. So I did a few songs, passed the time. I didn't watch any news. I decided to have a news-free evening because it always gets me into trouble when I'm covering Trump and defending Trump. I like Trump. I think he's doing a terrific job in extremely difficult times, and seems he's surrounded by sharks, shark-infested waters every minute of every day he wakes up. And those sharks are the Democrats and the far left. And it's not fair. Australians always go for the underdog, and I'm proud to be doing what I can to defend the old fella. Anyway, he'll come through. He'll still win in a landslide on November 3. I'm very positive about that. And sorry if you disagree with me, but you can go fuck yourself in a nice way. Anyway, I'll drink to that. Like Ingrid Bergman always got into trouble speaking her mind, she was not very good at social chit-chat. And if she disagreed with something or someone, she would just tell them so, and would always get her in hot water. And she had to cop it for 20 years until America finally forgave her. And even Ed Sullivan had to come out on his show one night and say, look, folks, I'm thinking of inviting Ingrid Bergman on the show. Can you just write to me and let me know if you're for or against her? And if you don't want me to, I won't. I mean, Ingrid Bergman went through more shit than I've ever gone through. And trust me, I've gone through some shit. Got a PhD in it, but it's character building. Anyway, I'm going to have a nice evening at home again at Elveston in the lower New England regions of the upper Hunter Valley, which is a very nice part of the world. And we've only had one case of coronavirus, and that was the mayor in 2020, and he recovered, which is good. I'm sure you'll agree. Anyway, this is Lord Reags signing off, having become a sextagenarian. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram if you so wish, or find me on YouTube.